よければチャンネル登録もよろしくでごわす。
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jimmy James, King of Games, and today I want to do something a little differently, and that's give a review of a new anime that I started to watch. Now, I haven't always been the most, I guess the term would be open-minded to spin-offs or reboots, right? Especially after the whole situation with the Naruto Boruto series. I actually haven't forgiven Naruto ever since they killed off my favorite character. I wonder if you can guess who it is. Yeah, it's no secret. And I haven't really been a fan of Boruto because I just didn't feel like it had the same magic. Now, somebody told me that once I get to a certain amount of episodes, then things get amazing again. And I haven't given it a chance, or excuse me, given it a chance. I did see some clips, and some of them look promising, but I think I watched the first episode of Boruto and I just fell off. And so I was a little nervous going into Yashahime. Inuyasha is such an amazing anime. It's one that I grew up with, and I love it so much. And I was like, those are pretty big shoes to fill. But I have to say that overall, and I'm only on the first season, and I don't even know if there's more seasons. I'm in shock. Like, I'm shooketh at what happened. I guess that was the season finale. I don't know. But I was like, there's no more episodes left. Like, I don't see a release date. What am I supposed to do? But it was incredible. The season as a whole was amazing. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I first started watching Yashahime, I found it a little bland. I thought it was very boring. I didn't really know what to do, what to make of it. But then I had to realize that in Inuyasha, I didn't really catch up at the very beginning. When I actually started watching Inuyasha, I think my first episode that I watched was the episode where he was fighting Sango, where I think that was the first episode that I saw when Sango's family got killed by Naraku. He controlled Kohaku and killed his family. That was the first episode that I came in. So I was hooked from there. But when I started, I didn't want to start the series from just there. So I started from the very beginning. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't really like Inuyasha from the very beginning. I mean, I just thought it was the dynamic with just him and Kagome was more annoying to me. And when Kikyo came in, it was very interesting. But I think what really hit it off once Moroku came into the mix, and then later on Sango came into the mix. Once the whole team was assembled, that's when I thought Inuyasha really got its stride, right? So I gave Yashahime that same type of dynamic of getting to know the characters, knowing who we're dealing with, knowing why. Because these animes, I've noticed, are kind of like a slow burn. So I gave it that, and I was so glad that I did, because there was a couple of times where I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Especially it's like the things that I didn't like at first end up working for me later on. For example, you don't see a lot of the older characters very often. And at first I'm like, well, why don't they exist? Where are they? Like, what's going on here? And then you realize that I don't even know what's going on with some of them, to be honest, because I'm only on season 1. I don't know what happened after. I don't even know what to say. I'm still shook. I can't even speak about it. But I will say this. I was really bothered by the fact that I thought Kagome was Ren. Well, no, I thought Ren was Kagome this entire time. Like, I was like, what's Kagome doing? Like, what's going on? And then this whole time, it was finally revealed that was actually Ren. And I was like, are you kidding me, yo? Like, that was insane to me. But I mean, everybody knew that Ren looks just like Kagome. And I was like, well, I wonder what they're going to do with that. But I love seeing Kagome grow up. I love the fact that her and Sesshomaru got together, even though at first it was awkward. I was like, ugh, he kind of raised her, but then you find out that wasn't exactly the case. So it is what it is on that front. But I will say that this season was amazing. I think my favorite character would have to be Setsuna. Setsuna gave me what I always wanted for Sango, who's also my favorite character in Inuyasha. But one thing I didn't like about Sango, and this is a minor nit because Sango is my favorite character of all time in the series, was that Sango all these other characters, they had all these new attacks and different things, but I felt like Sango only really had her hirai codes, right? She only really had her boomerang. And like, what bothered me about that is that in the first episode that you really see her, when she, well, not in the first episode, but when she fights Inuyasha, she uses her sword, she uses the poison powder, she has different techniques. She could also sense the jewel shards as well because it was in her village. But it seemed like they made it where only Kagome could really see them or sense them later on. It's like, but in the very beginning, you hear where Sango says she can sense certain things. Like she had a certain spiritual awareness. She could sense demonic aura. There's a lot of things that were special about her. But they kind of just made her like a tough female human warrior. And I understand that they wanted to, but I think that made her better in the end because they made her just more human and not rely on kind of the spiritual aspects. They kind of left that to Kagome. But I think it kind of annoyed me a little bit because it was kind of like, all these other characters would have all these different things that would be about them. And Sango was like a human. And even though I respected that, I feel like they could have gave her another tactic, another way of battle, a different something. They kind of did towards the end, but I just wanted a little more. But my thing is, Setsuna kind of gives me what I always wanted from Sango is that in the fact that she kind of looks like Sango, she kind of has that toughness, but she can be very soft and sweet. But she has these like crazy powers. Like, I don't know. I think they knew exactly what they were doing with Setsuna. Because Setsuna, in my opinion, is the best character. So that's why when the season finale, if that was a season finale, happened, I was shook. I was like, are you kidding me? It's Neji Hyuga all over again, man. Even though it wasn't, because Neji wasn't really a main character. He was just my main character. But Setsuna she was amazing. She was irritating at the very beginning because she was so cold. But then you realize where it came from. But her powers, the way she carried herself, the way she looked, like just design wise, I was like, who? Like when I first saw her, I thought she was Sango's daughter. I really did, and then you realize that she wasn't. But I think that Yashahime did such a great job fleshing out these characters, and they're all so different. You have Setsuna, who's very hard and very kind of tough, no nonsense, but very caring. You have Toa, who's very sensitive and very loving, and then you have Moroha, who's very carefree and very lighthearted. And Moroha almost kind of got on my nerves at the very beginning. I'm like, she is a little too much, but she kind of has the arrogant cockiness that Inuyasha can kind of have, but has like that naivete and sense of humor and quirkiness that Kagome kind of has. So you definitely see the blend of both of them. There was situations where I wonder, where are their parents? Like, and you would see flashbacks here and there, but I think it was amazing. I think that Yashahime has hit its stride. I think we're in that part of the season, just like in Inuyasha, where now we know what we're dealing with. And I think they knew it. I think they wanted to make a show where it wasn't necessarily, it was based on Inuyasha, and they haven't forgotten about those characters, and they still hold those characters in high regard. But they're trying to say this is a different show. It's similar, but it's different. That's what a true spinoff does. Unlike, in my opinion, Boruto. And I'm not dissing Boruto, because I've seen some good fights and things like that. But Boruto, to me, just was like, here are the parents, and these are super kids, right? And we're going to see the parents every few seconds and remind you that these are amazing people. And I guess it's weird because what I wanted from Yashahime, Boruto did, but I didn't like. And now I'm realizing that may have been the best decision ever, because we already know Kagome and Inuyasha and Sesshomaru and Sango and Moroku. But now we get these new characters and we get to see what they're about. We get to see how this world has changed, how it will continue on. And I think that is incredible. And I'm very excited about it. Setsuna is literally my favorite character. And she is one of my favorite characters of both series. Like, Sango is number one. I also like a huge fan of Koga. But then you have Sesshomaru and then Setsuna. Toa is very interesting, but she's very kind of simplistic. And Moroha toes the line between being like annoying and cool. Like, it's like I love her, I hate her, I love to hate her. that's pretty much where I am. But Yashahime is doing a great job. I am very interested in some of the characters. Like Rinku is very fascinating to me. The character, I can't think of his name at this moment, but who's apparently like a rival to Sesshomaru. He's very fascinating to me. And then we still have the current characters, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Ren. And they even gave, they give you a little shout outs here and there. So you saw Kikyo, and so I really respect what Yashahime is doing. But anyway, that's my review. I didn't want to give anything away for those who haven't seen it. And for those who have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I will say this last episode just threw me for a loop. I was not expecting it. I just was not expecting it. Like everything that happened in this episode, I was not expecting. Like from what happened to Setsuna to Toa and Moroha, I was shooketh. I was pure D shooketh. And I thought it was amazing. I really did. And I can't wait to see more. But anyway, I'm Jamie James, King of Games, and that has been my review of Yashahime. Thanks. And remember, keep on gaming. Peace.
Stream is over. Stream is over!